When he ran for governor way back in 2014, candidate Doug Ducey pledged to get Arizona's income tax rates, quote, as close to zero as possible. With just a year and a half left in office, Governor Ducey hasn't given up. The Capitol's been buzzing for weeks about a Republican flat tax. All income earners would pay the same income tax rate. It will be the most sweeping change to our tax code in years. The impact spread far and wide. Joining us are Julie Erfle, communications consultant at Erfle Uncuffed, and Paul Bentz, senior vice president for research and strategy, and the polling guy at High Ground Consulting here in Phoenix. And a reminder again, Monday is tax day. Get your taxes in on time. Paul, just a quick start with you. A disclosure, you are involved in a group that's involved in the flat tax.
Sure, we've done a lot of work with the League of Cities and Towns and other municipality and local governments throughout the last few years. And I can tell you that there's a lot of concern when it comes to the flat tax and what it would mean, because quite frankly, it would be the largest tax cut to local government in state history.
Okay, and that's one of the impacts. And I want to get it on folks' radar right now because, I think I teased it earlier by saying this could pass in the middle of the night. Paul, you've been around the Capitol for years. How does a proposal, of this size, this magnitude, and this complicated, how could that possibly just pass in the middle of the night without much public debate?
One of the things for you to remember is that one of the most important things that the state government and legislature does is set the budget. But most of the budget negotiations happen behind closed doors. It's mostly settled ahead of time, and then it's rolled out as a budget package and voted on fairly quickly. And so there's a lot of negotiations going on behind the scenes right now. And I suspect by the time that the packages are introduced, they will mostly be settled and that they'll be decided upon. So something like this has been in the works for a while. It's one of the governor's top priorities. And so it's been bandied about. You might not have heard it publicly, but it's definitely happening behind closed doors right now.
Okay, let's put some details on this, at least the details as we know them right now. And as you just said, it's subject to change. Current income tax rates are progressive, from 2.6% for married couples earning up to $53,000 up to 4.5% for people earning more than $318,000. The plan now circulating would create a single 2.5% tax bracket phased in over 7 years. The lost tax revenue would not be backfilled by a sales tax increase or, as far as we know, any other tax increase. An estimated $1.5 billion in lost revenue because of this. Julie, where do you see the impacts of a flat tax?
Well, first and foremost, I think Republicans are going to be the ones to do exactly what they said they didn't want Democrats to do, which is to defund the police. Because if you're talking about this kind of massive tax cut to cities and towns, and this would be a massive tax cut to cities and towns, you're talking about those cities and towns having to cut necessities like police, like fire, like libraries, much the way they had to during the Great Recession. Many of these cities and towns are just getting back to pre-recession times. And now you're talking about the state putting them in a situation where they're going to have to go backwards yet again. They will likely have to cut these services. They will likely have to put yet another hiring freeze on police and fire. They will likely have to, cut some of the programs that they've been creating, such as interventions for mental health, some of the progressive things that they've been trying to do. They may even have to implement a food tax again, like they had to during the Great Recession, just to balance their budget. I mean, this is a very serious proposal. In addition to that, what's it going to do to 208?
We'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. I want to give Paul an opportunity to jump in. And Paul, I'll ask you to argue the other side, because it is, hey, flat tax is fair and flat tax is good for the economy, makes us more competitive with places like Texas, for example. Do you see those arguments?
I definitely see those arguments, and I'm sure they appeal to our Republican legislators. I suspect that this proposal would be very popular among Republicans and probably less so among unaffiliated voters, and definitely less so among Democrats. I think the big challenge that they have is that local government, when we do our polling, is much more popular than the state or the legislature. And so you're going to have very well regarded, very well respected, very well liked local leaders speaking out against this because they're the ones offering those services, as Julie mentioned, public safety and other things that would inevitably be cut if you put a $1.5 billion, maybe $15 billion over the next 10 years cut on the state budget.
And it seems like, we're flush with cash right now. The budget is flush with cash, rainy day fund, surplus. Is that a bit misleading? Good times, there will be bad times, as we know. Doing this in good times, when the bad times catch up to us, what might happen, Paul?
So we are definitely in good times right now. We also have the stimulus package, but I think it's important to note that the American Relief Plan precludes cities or other folks from backfilling tax cuts. You can't take the federal money and then offer tax cuts. So that's a whole nother angle that we're not thinking about here, is that it might be good right now, but to remove one of the revenue streams that keeps us sort of balanced and stable, it's a three-legged stool is the way it's described, through property taxes, income taxes, and sales tax. If you cut one of the legs off, the stool can't stand.
Okay, and Julie, let's go back to Prop 208. You brought it up a minute early. This legislation, as it stands now, is kind of a bank shot in that if you overhaul the tax code, you're basically making Prop 208 irrelevant.
Correct. And it's purposeful, right? Because Republicans were upset that the voters approved it. And so what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, voters, we know that you decided that the top 1% of Arizona taxpayers, that they should pay more, they should pay their fair share. But now we're going to completely upend the tax code. So none of this money comes in for Prop 208. And in addition to that, the top 1% will get yet another tax cut, more than what they already have right now. Because one of the things that's important about this flat tax is that it's incredibly regressive, meaning the vast majority of the benefits go to the top 1%, the top 20%. In fact, 90% of the benefits go to the top 20% of Arizona taxpayers.
And so a backfill on the Prop 208. Prop 208, voter approved last year, would add a income tax surcharge on high wage earners, and it's all based on tax brackets, and the tax brackets would change, making Prop 208 moot. All right, we've got to move on. When we come back, 2 years after stunning statewide victories, why are Democrats having trouble lining up candidates for top offices? And will Republicans have a primary problem in 2022? Stay with us.